Go.
With just 10% turnout, Orlando District 5 special election shows a city divided. Rose or McCurdy? Ignite the voters' spark in June. Runoff? We'll find out. Welcome to another episode of You Can't Make This Shit Up. I'm your host, Joel Hoxley, your host, David Washington. We are a Jay and Washington Network production. And what we want to talk to you about is the race for interim District 5 City Commissioner. And it will continue another month. Now, Shaniqua, Shane Rose, and Travaris McCurdy emerged as the top candidates among 7 in a June 18th runoff, as neither secured over 50% of the vote. Turnout was sparse as usual, just at 10%, with Rose leading at 24.8% and McCurdy close behind at 23.3%. The election follows the suspension of incumbent Regina Hill due to felony charges. Rose, backed by labor unions, advocates for increased funding for social services and homeless shelters. McCurdy, endorsed by firefighters and Florida Rising, focuses on aiding small businesses and securing city contracts. The interim commissioner will serve until the end of 2025 unless Hill is acquitted and returns sooner. What say you, David?
Well, the one thing that I'm very concerned about, and I've said this on the David Washington show, is that the turnout. Orlandians should be ashamed of themselves, period. 10% turnout in this special election, which has in turn created a runoff between Travaris McCurdy and Shan Rose. It's unfortunate that 7 candidates who ran for Regina Hill's seat in this special election and less than 2,200 people, as a matter of fact, 2,123 people actually voted. 10%. And this is concerning. It's concerning because, one, it's a predominantly black district. 2, it's a predominantly Democratic district. And 3, the Democrats should have had larger numbers of their voters out voting for this particular race in preparation for the elections in August, the elections in November. And of course, now that we know that there is a runoff June 22nd, this this turnout leaves a lot to be desired. Congratulations to Travaris. Congratulations to Shane. May the best person win. However, this is an indictment of the demographic, the voters in District 5 for failure to turn out in this particular election.
Well, do you think it's because the turnaround was so rapid? Um, the question is, could the commission have, just put somebody in place um, until a actual election in maybe August? Could have been done. I mean, there's a lot of questions to maybe it was too quick a turnaround, and maybe there wasn't enough time for campaigning, get the word out. I mean, there's a lot of questions when you put something on the ballot so rapidly, but I'm only saying that as devil advocate because this is a city election and people don't show up for city elections.
Right. The rules are that the governor, if suspending a particular elected official, like the situation here, then the city or the county has the obligation to set a date for a special election. So, with the charges brought against Commissioner Hill, Governor DeSantis, in his duties as governor, suspended her, thus triggering the election in the time frame, the required legal time frame.
Okay, so uh, seven candidates show up. Two candidates that you explained looked like they had the serious backing of, two different special
Well,
interests.
I think they both have the backing to some extent. There's varying levels of support from City Hall. Uh, it's very clear based on what I know of the Travaris McCurdy campaign and its internal management. Is He's clearly supported by Mayor Buddy Dyer, and with Shan Rose's um, connections or her nonprofit connection to city government and county government, she does have some support there. The Orlando Sentinel endorsed her, and she got some other endorsements from labor. However, it's the same players.
Well, that's what I was saying. In the intro, we talk about one being supported by labor, one being supported by small business. Um,
I think it goes more beyond just labor and small business or business interests. McCurry works for Greater Orlando Airport Authority, and to do that you have to have some connections.
oh, absolutely. So now, with both of them being at about, and I'm going to go up, about a quarter of the vote.
Hmm.
So that's 50% of the vote, uh, of the 10%. So you have to now try to dip into the other five candidates that you ran against. Who do you think will have the funding and the energy to push to this next election, or do you think this is already set in stone by the?
If I know the players and if I know my job, I believe you'll have a traditional campaign ran by the McCurdy campaign, mailers, text messages, the usual stuff. Uh, he, of course, has almost twice as much money in his campaign coffers than Shan does, and therefore, I believe Shan will be a more organic, field oriented approach campaign.
So the question that always that comes to my mind, David, is in this situation, how much money was spent on this campaign, and just what was raised, what was spent, but how much did the city have to pay for it? And if you're paying that much money to only have 10%, couldn't you, as a organization, as a city, probably put more effort into trying to get turnout? Does this fall on the city clerk? Does this fall on the fact that they don't really care to publicize these elections the way they should be?
Right, I think it falls on the individual parties because knowing the history of city government, they don't care. If I remember Supervisor of Elections Glenn Glazine speaking at County Watch, I think it was like $200,000 per election, or maybe for this election, just to put it together and have it go smoothly. Um, it boils down to the parties and getting the word out and canvassing and phone calls and text messages and relying on those voters that they plan on relying on in August and November.
Well, that's a lot to unpack. But look, we have two candidates that will be, squaring off on June 18th. We've told you the date, June 18th, and we the turnaround's going to be quick. So if you have absentee ballot, if you have, excuse me, if you have vote by mail ballot, if you haven't applied for one, apply for one quickly. You have to be registered within a month, so I don't think you can quickly register just to vote in this election. But look, go to the supervisor, get your information, learn what's going on. If you live in the city of Orlando, this is important because they just jacked up your rates on water. They are going after you as though they have nobody to hold them accountable. So, this is why you need to come out to this election. If you live in the city, make your voice heard.
It's a placeholder situation because the seat is up for reelection in 2025. I was mistaken. It's Commissioner Regina Hill's jury trial is July 22nd. And not the election. Like you said, the election, the runoff election is June 18th, but I believe the jury trial is either June or July 22nd for Regina Hill. I'll make sure that's in the notes.
Listen, I was just trying to use my memory, and that's what it said here.
Okay, cool, cool.
I'm trying to use that memory control.
With so much going on, I have so many dates and numbers in my head right now. But it's we'll see. We'll see how the Democrats do. Hopefully, we'll see much better turnout now that we're down to two candidates. I know that hopefully some political careers ended on Tuesday because it just doesn't make sense just running and running and running and getting the same results. It's time for fresh blood. It's time for new faces, and I'm not really expecting the placeholder elected commissioner after June to make any big changes or cause any exciting moves or anything. They're just going to hold on to the seat until the trial is over for Commissioner Hill. Whether she's exonerated or not, we'll see. I expect her to get her seat back. That's just me. So we'll see. We'll see. But whoever is going to be the new commissioner, they have a great opportunity to get their name out uh, by going to where their voters are and meeting them where they are at their front step, on their porches, their front door, in their driveways, and in their front yards, and let them know that they are there for their needs and not the needs of the special interests in City Hall.
Victory only. Turnout, everyone. Vote.
Please vote. And it is July 22nd for Commissioner Regina Hill's trial. So
we'll be watching.
Indeed, indeed. This is You Can't Make This Shit Up. Joel Hawksley, David Washington, here in beautiful Baldwin Park, Orlando, Florida. It's hot. I love it.
Like, share, subscribe, be a member of our community. Thank you.
This is awesome. I love it. Please comment. We want to hear what you have to say, and we enjoy responding to your comments. There's nothing better on any day when I'm looking at all these comments and responding across all of our properties, all of our social media. Please let us know what you think, not what you feel. Again, this is You Can't Make This Shit Up. We are out.